There has been lots of changes that have been implemented this year. There is a change in the first 6 kilometers of the race. Behind J-Batch, we have a 25-meter dead zone. In that dead zone, we're going to have, firstly, a human chain made up of firefighters to assist with moving Group 2 forward once Group 1 starts leaving. We've got 2 wheelchair participants that are going to be participating in the event. We also do have ladies-only toilets for female runners, and at each of our 8 physio stations and medic stations along the route, we have female sanitary products. We've reintroduced official spectator points along the route. Those 3 official spectator points will be at Caterridge, Nchanga, and Drummond. Because of being a street finish on the actual tar road surface, we are going to have an AstroTurf mat that will be before the finish line and after the finish line, because we know the Comrades Marathon, especially in the last 2 to 3 hours, we have lots of runners that collapse, crawl, fall, etc. They scan the temporary chip that is built into the race number. When they scan it, it comes up with the athlete's name and surname, the race time, and the actual medal. For example, Vic Clapham shows on the screen. But an improvement we've made this year in terms of our pace setters, we've introduced what we're calling a co-driver and a conductor. We've also been encouraging runners to also make their way to the start a lot earlier. You need to add a minimum of 2 hours onto that, just to be safe. We have 4.8 tons of oranges out the route, 12 tons of bananas, 2 tons of baby potatoes with salt, 500 kgs of energy biscuits. Something new that we've never done at the Comrades Marathon, another improvement or innovation, is we're going to have a park and ride shuttle service, which is free to all participants and runners.
I'm fine. I'm actually Hilary Walker, and I'm from the International Association of Ultra Runners, and we're working with Comrades in order to think through a very good way of augmenting the 2027 race when you're celebrating your 100th event.
It's an honor to have you here in South Africa.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to my stupid stories here at the media briefing. I'd like to call up CMA Chairperson Kondisi Ntobo for a welcoming address. Thank you.
The General Manager of CMA, Mr. Ale Dale, our board members present. I'm going to acknowledge Mrs. Brand. I was going to be our chairperson on Sunday because the chairperson is joining Rory Petza on the route by foot and not by car. And the vice chairperson is also running. In fact, I'm proud to say that we have about 4 or 5 board members who are running. Our chairperson of finance, Ms. Lene Swart, is running. Nontutugo Shimane has taken a sabbatical. She has 8 medals, but she's coming back next year, I'm told. I think the other member who's running is the Croc, Mr. Isaac Ngwenya. So we are very proud that we also walk the talk. We don't only walk the talk the talk, but we run with the talk, or we walk the talk. Brigadier Saunders and Colonel Zungu from Durban Metro, Colin Govender of KZN RTI. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an honor of being joined by the General Secretary of the IAU, Dr. Hilary Walker. We are very honored to have you, and I hope that you will observe and give us 10 out of 10 in terms of our technical setup and everything, as we try to build up to 2027. To have someone of your caliber is really an honor for us and a privilege, and it's happy days for Comrades. Our legend and board member Ubaba William Tolo, former chairpersons if they are here, and other board members present, our staff members. I see our Comrades media, Ushon Falconer. Every time I read your surname, I think of W.B. Yeats, The Homecoming, the Second Coming. What do they say? The Falcon cannot see the falconer. But I'm sure your presence here, Mr. Falconer, the falcon will definitely hear the falconer, because it's times where we want to beef up our communication and ensure that there's order and communication. And I'm sure the members of the media will appreciate your presence. All our sponsors, members of the ROC and the elders present, our 6 official charities, Chalk, Hillcrest AIDS, Rise Against Hunger, Sunparks Rangers, Ubuntu. I can also recognize 1 or 2 members of our sponsors, Phil from Mr. Price Sport, proudly dressing our program director for the day. We really appreciate you, and all our Tier 1 and Tier 2, Tier 3, and all our sponsors present today. It is an honor and privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to address you this morning as we communicate formally the activities and programs of this year's Ultimate Human Race. Yesterday, we officially opened our expo amid fanfare and excitement from participants who had patiently since the morning waited to collect their race packs and visit our various stands and exhibitors. We have about 190, one of the biggest sporting expos on the African continent, and we pride ourselves on that. This is a unique edition, ladies and gentlemen, of the Ultimate Human Race from a planning point of view. As you will know that on the 24th of May 2025, we celebrated 104 years of our existence. This year's race is the last down run before the 50th running of the down run in 2027, and obviously that will also coincide with the 100th running of the race. The CMA board has taken a strategic decision to use this race as a dress rehearsal for the 2027 race. We have therefore introduced some important changes and innovations which the General Manager will gladly outline shortly. We've also introduced 2 starts as part of our attempt to put the interest of all our participants first. The 2-start approach will address 2 major issues that have remained a concern insofar as the down run is concerned. Improved safety of all our participants is one of them, and enhanced runner experience. A lot of work has gone and strategizing has gone into ensuring that we introduce these changes. Part of what the board decided at its strategic planning session in January this year was to beef up the Race Advisory Committee, which is a subcommittee of the board. The RSC, under the able leadership and chairpersonship of our board member, Alan Gray, with only 1 L, I must say, not double L. Alan Gray comprises technical experts, experienced race organizers, and safety, security, and risk experts. These individuals have been hard at work since December 2024 to ensure that the vision becomes a reality. These changes were a culmination of board decisions late last year, immediately after we were elected into office, to set up the Vision 2027 ad hoc committee. Part of this committee's mandate was to look at ways of ensuring that planning for 2027 begins now. They then submitted proposals and recommendations which form part of the initial discussions of the RAC. These recommendations have informed largely the changes that have been introduced this year. We've adopted what we call a runner-centric approach in this year's edition. This approach, ladies and gentlemen, is part of the board's strategy to uphold and preserve the Runners First initiative, which has become synonymous with this race. When we launched the race in November 2024, we chose the slogan, "More than a race, isiko mpilo." This slogan epitomizes the celebration of the human spirit, camaraderie, unity, perseverance, endurance, the values that are very much part of our DNA as the ultimate human race, values that this board and all our structures want to uphold and preserve at all times. Today we are here to share the state of readiness with the members of the media. The General Manager will take you through some of the activities, programs, and important innovations that have been introduced and undertaken in the build-up to the start of the race on Sunday. He will also share some important stats and activities as we embark on the final 2-day, 3-day or so countdown. As part of our continued effort to bring more corporate sponsors or partners to sponsor our race, we're very excited to welcome our sponsors that were not part of the 2024 race. We wish to welcome all of them on board and thank you for your continued support and generous sponsorship. In partnership with Netcare 911, the CMA is proud to have one of the largest medical operations that offer services such as medical and physiotherapy. This is part of our commitment to putting the safety, health and well-being of all our more than 22,000 participants on Sunday. We are grateful and highly indebted to all our sponsors who continue to walk this journey with us. Without your generous sponsorship, it would be highly impossible and difficult to put this magnificent race together. As I draw towards my conclusion, on behalf of the CMA board, I wish to thank all our runners, volunteers, their supporters, ROC members, elders, staff under the capable leadership of Mr. Alain Darlene, board members, our sponsors, partners, suppliers, the two cities of Pietermaritzburg and Durban, spectators, supporters, traffic and law enforcement authorities under the leadership of the brigadier, all our medical professionals, emergency medical care practitioners, refreshment table hosts, suppliers, the Moses Mabhida Stadium who have agreed generously to us to use the People's Park precincts as our finish venue, the Durban Exhibition Center, our 6 official charities and members of the media who continue to communicate our message. I wish to extend a warm and proudly South African and KwaZulu-Natal welcome to all our participants from countries across the globe and the African continent. I hope that you will enjoy our hospitality of our country and province even beyond Sunday. Please take your time to explore our tourism attractions and destinations. I wish to thank our international ambassadors on that note who continue to market our event at their respective countries. The Comrades Marathon has become an important item in the bucket list of events to do across the globe, thanks to these ambassadors who are spreading the word. I wish all our participants Godspeed as they take on the 89.98 kilometer journey from the city of Pietermaritzburg to South Africa's playground. I thank you.
Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome and fantastic to see you all again. So race day is Sunday the 8th of June 2025. This year's edition of the race is the 98th edition and the 49th down run. This year's down run is a dress rehearsal for the 100th running of the Comrades Marathon taking place in 2027. And the route this year is substantially the same as the 2022 down run route. But the confirmed distance of this year's race is 89.98 kilometers. There is a change in the first 6 kilometers of the race, following a previously used down run route out of the city of Pietermaritzburg, utilizing roads that have far better capacity to accommodate the runners in that earlier part of the race, which proceeds up Alexandra Road into Ritchie Road, then onto Washington Road and through to Polly Shorts thereafter. There's also the change in the last 2 kilometers of the race, which is effectively extending the distance from where our traditional finish was at the Hollywood Bets Kingsmead Cricket Stadium, now finishing outside People's Park. So our planning and preparations are going very well in terms of all our various race logistics and all other plans that are in progress at the moment. And also thank you to our board for their strategic direction and guidance. There has been lots of changes that have been implemented this year. And again, a lot of these changes were firstly because due to safety, because of the large field that we're going to have this year. And also secondly, because this is the dress rehearsal for the 100th running in 2027. Also just want to again indicate how fantastic it is to having such loyal volunteers in our race organizing committee. Without them and our dedicated CMA staff from Comrades House, this race will not take place. So the volunteers are the engine room and the lifeblood of this event. Also, very importantly, without all our sponsors, all our stakeholders, all our various role players through our ESSPC meetings, again, without their involvement, their support, their guidance, they are also an intricate part of this event. And again, the event would not be a success without their involvement. So thanks to all those role players as well. Okay, so this year there are several changes and innovations as well. The primary reasons for these being safety as well as runner experience. Our chairperson alluded to the new strategic direction of the board being runner-centric, so that adds to the runner experience. Runners sacrifice a lot to take part in the Comrades Marathon, and it's only fair as organizers to give back to them, you know, in terms of also putting on an event that they can enjoy and feel safe doing so. So this year's start, as traditional with the down run, is at the Pietermaritzburg City Hall. And this year's start will be a 2-start, which is something we've never done before. The 2-start it will be starting at 5:45 a.m. That's for the elites and runners up to the J batch. There will then be a 15-minute window between the start of Group 1 and Group 2. Group 2 will start at 6 a.m. That is the K batch, which is a special batch with Louis Massain, who's going for his 50th Comrades finish this year. So him and a few of his running friends will be in K batch, proceeding all the way back up to S batch. All runners have been provided with their seeding batches. We've been putting out various communication about it as well. So everything seems to be going smoothly as far as that is concerned. And the other reason for implementing the 2-start, like I mentioned earlier, safety is critical. This year, for those of you that are not aware, this year's down run is the largest ever field of starters we've ever had in the history of the Comrades Marathon for a down run. Previous years, we've had about 18,000 starters. This year, effectively, as it stands today, we could potentially have 22,000 starters, which we will see by come Sunday morning after the 3 days of registration. So having said that, potentially adding another 4,000 participants to the start comes with its own set of challenges, logistical challenges, safety concerns, etc. Hence the reasons why the CMA board, the CMA Race Advisory Committee, the Race Organizing Committee, myself and all the staff, etc., we all got together and spent months and months of planning, etc., to ensure that we put on the safest possible start and, of course, safest possible event for all the runners. The other reason for changing the start time to make it 15 minutes later from the traditional start time of 5:30 a.m. to 5:45 a.m. is because the elite runners usually take around 25 minutes to get to Poly Shorts. Now, every year for the down run, they get to Poly Shorts in total darkness. We have provided floodlights in the past to shine behind the runners going down Poly Shorts. However, we've implemented that change in the start time so that there's natural sunlight coming through together with the floodlights we'll be providing. Another important safety aspect we've put in place at Poly Shorts is the introduction of a team of medics on motorbikes from Netcare 911, one of our medical sponsor. So they will be at strategic points along Poly Shorts until the runners have passed through and heading through Ashburton. Okay, and we will also have technical officials in that area also monitoring that everything is going safely there. Then the other change, very big change as well, is the street finish, which is going to be outside the People's Park venue, which is neighboring to Moses Mabhida Stadium. And the street finish has not happened since the very early days of when Comrades was founded in 1921, when the race was run from one city hall to another city hall. It wasn't even streets in those days, it was gravel roads and dusty roads. So it's in keeping line with that, but again, because of a number of participants, having a street finish allows us, like the big city marathons across the world, to be able to filter out all the runners and spectators into wide open spaces, which again, you can see as the CMA, safety concerns again. So to ensure safety of participants and the general public, we've had to consider the street finish. The street finish also lends itself to an amazing vibe. You know, people will ask, but you know, you're not in the stadium, are you going to lose some of the vibe or the hiss? Which is actually not the case, because those of you that have been to the finished precinct would see that we've got grandstands on the one side of Masabalala Yengwa Avenue, and we're also going to be having club tents from running club supporters that will be lining the whole one side of Masabalala Yengwa Avenue on the southbound lane, and on the northbound lane along the speed fence of the finished straight. All the spectators that are coming in from the People's Park side will be able to come through from inside People's Park onto the sidewalk to cheer on the runners. And this is something that we've never been able to do in the past because of being inside a stadium. So supporters, running clubs, etc. are going to be able to get close to the runners, to high-five them, cheer them on. So we have no doubt that the vibe is going to be amazing on Sunday. Okay, so just talking about some of those changes, sorry, let's get this here. Right. Then in terms of the two starts, so they've been split into different color coordination. So on the race bib, there's going to be a group 1 and a group 2. That's going to assist authorities, volunteers, officials to be able to identify which group runners are in. So once the runners get to the finish, they will be volunteers in color coordinated t-shirts firstly. We're going to have 2 different clocks on the finish gantry that will have group 1 time and group 2 time. And the same goes for any of the timing systems. There will be effectively, if you want to call it, 2 races running with 2 different times being managed by Finish Time, our timing service provider. When runners proceed over the finish line, we've allowed for additional space. So traditionally we have 14 meters from the actual finish line that the runners cross over to the medals tent. We've now got 50 meters, which we call a no-go zone. That's to keep that area clean, etc., in terms of letting the runners filter out in that area and spread out. And then before they get to the medals tent, where they handed their medal and finisher badge, we would start splitting runners into the 2 groups. So again, there's 2 identifications on the race number, one being where the bib says race, Comrades Marathon 2025, and in the block on the bottom left corner. The volunteers will then guide the runners into either the group 1 half of the tent or into the group 2 half of the medals tent. When they get to the medals tent, we have a dedicated team of scanners staff. So each of the staff members has a scanning device, which is a smart device, looks similar to a cell phone. It has a large screen on it, and they scan the temporary chip that is built into the race number. When they scan it, it comes up with the athlete's name and surname, the race time, and the actual medal. For example, Vic Clapham shows on the screen. If there's any issue, in other words, if a runner missed a timing mat, if a runner jumped a batch at the start, any anomalies that are picked up on the timing system, the screen at the finish picks up and it doesn't show the medal, it says query. If that happens, we then have a separate process that then takes place in terms of our technical requirements, where those runners are taken away from the finish line to go handled, and those queries are dealt with by the chief referee of the event and the various the technical officials from Athletics South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal Athletics. So then to alleviate any challenges, etc., and possibilities of giving the incorrect medal to runners, that was the reason for implementing the scanning system. It has been tried and tested. We've had several dry runs, etc., and it works fantastically. We've got a backup solution as well in terms of connectivity as well as electricity on that. So any runner that may have a query because of the different group that they started in will be resolved immediately on the finish line, so that there is no disputes or arguments that need to take place. So we're very confident that runners will receive the correct medal at the finish. Okay, just to share a few stats with you. So this year's edition of the Comrades Marathon, the entries were capped at 24,000 entries, and it closed on the 9th of December 2024. All participants had to qualify to participate in the event. Another significant change that we made was changing the qualification time from 4 hours 50 minutes to 5 hours. That was the strategic decision also made by the current CMA board. The participant breakdown stats for this year, so qualified participants, 22,677. Of those, 18,489 are registering in Durban at the Durban Exhibition Centre at the Comrades Marathon Expo, and 4,188 are registering in Pietermaritzburg at Comrades House. Our green number participant number is 2,391. Novice participants, so that's first time runners of the Comrades Marathon, 5,579. International participants is 3,082 international participants. Then the gender split, male 18,491 and women athletes 4,186. And then we have 780 charity fundraiser participants as well. Our registration opened yesterday at both venues at Durban and Pietermaritzburg, 5th of June. By close of business yesterday, we had successfully registered over 5,000 athletes. Traditionally, the first day is quieter due to everyone traveling into KZN for the race, because the majority of our participants are from outside KZN. And today is always the busiest day, so we expect that those numbers are going to skyrocket during the course of today, and of course tomorrow as well. Our expo is looking amazing. For those of you that haven't had an opportunity to go down there, I encourage you to do so. This year we've got the largest number of sold exhibitor stands in the history of our Comrades Expo. So the expo has been running for over 20 years, and we've sold over 165 stands. In comparison, last year was 130 stands. So that also shows you that various companies, etc., how, you know, their level of involvement and also the interest in the Comrades Marathon Expo. There's lots of exciting activations taking place as well at the Expo. We've also got various charity initiatives, so I encourage everyone to visit our charity stands, support them. There's a donation facility for anyone that wants to hand over their second-hand running shoes. All types of exciting activations by our various sponsors. Our apparel sponsor, Mr. Price Sports, has a fantastic store inside the Expo, as well as a store at the registration venue in Pietermaritzburg. Then the Expo times, so yesterday the Expo official opening took place at 10 a.m. and closed at 7 p.m. Today the Expo runs from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And tomorrow the Expo opens at 9 and closes at 4 p.m. Just a bit of athlete information regarding different types of athletes and what's different programs that are in place at the moment or for this year's race. So the GEMS Runners Village is in Pietermaritzburg at the YMCA. The CMA, supported by our sponsor GEMS, provides accommodation, meals, hot showers and all sorts of facilities and accommodation for those runners. And we accommodate up to 600 athletes in the YMCA building in Pietermaritzburg from today until Monday the 9th of June. So this year we've got 2 wheelchair participants that are going to be participating in the event. These athletes are not self-propelled athletes. They will be starting the race at 5 a.m. This earlier start also allows those athletes to be able to leave Pietermaritzburg far ahead of the runners, and they will be escorted by traffic authorities as well. Just to mention, not only for the wheelchair participants, for all the general public, etc., for anyone that's requiring disabled ablution facilities, there will be ablution facilities at the start, route, and at the finish. Our Elite Athlete Media Conference took place yesterday at the Southern Sun Elangeni Hotel, and I must say that our top contenders are looking really, really strong in the men's field and in the women's field. So I think we've got a very exciting race come Sunday. So looking forward to that. Okay, another improvement, not a change per se, but an improvement we've made this year in terms of our pace setters. So for those of you not aware, in road running, what we refer to as a runner bus, which has a driver traditionally, but we've introduced what we're calling a co-driver and a conductor. The reason for that is because the Comrades buses tend to be quite large, especially your buses from 11 hours onwards. And that comes with its own set of challenges when they pass through areas such as refreshment stations or high spectator zones on the route. It also limits the amount of space for other participants to pass them. So by introducing these additional pace setters within each runner bus, your co-driver as well as your conductors further back in the bus, they will then ensure that the size of the bus as well as the direction of the bus allows other participants, or sometimes even maybe an ambulance or anyone, to be able to pass alongside the bus. These bus drivers will also be split between the two, Group 1 and Group 2, between the two start groups, and they are clearly identified in terms of color-coordinated T-shirts with Group 1 or Group 2 on it, as well as their pacing flags are large and color branded according to the two groups as well. So runners will be able to easily identify those various buses, as well at the finish the officials will be able to also identify those buses as well. Okay, so just a bit more information on the start layout. So outside the Pietermaritzburg City Hall, from the start line, you'll have your elite athletes in the A badge, and behind them your contenders, that's your age category contenders, for example. Proceeding through B badge, etc., or going on to J badge. It is based on qualifying time, and we spent a lot of time and effort looking into it and finalizing those seeding batches. Behind J batch, we have a 25-meter dead zone or space on the street, on Chief Albert Dutuli Street. In that dead zone, we are going to have, firstly, a human chain made up of firefighters from the City of Cape Town and the Msunduzi Municipality Fire and Rescue Department, as well as our various security personnel and volunteer marshals. There will also be a blue light traffic vehicle, one from the Msunduzi Traffic Police and one from the Durban Metro Police, as the race is a partnership between the two cities. Those two blue light vehicles will, as I said, in the 25-meter dead zone to assist with moving Group 2 forward once Group 1 starts leaving the start line. So the plan for that is, as the gun goes after all the Comrades traditions are played, in other words, the national anthem, Shosholoza, Chariots of Fire, Cockcrow, once the Msunduzi Municipality Mayor fires the gun at 5:45 a.m. and Group 1 starts moving forward, the process involving all the personnel I've mentioned and the blue lights will then gently move those runners forward in their various groups and batches. We've also split each of the batches into smaller, more manageable numbers, so approximately around 1,500 runners in each batch, which just helps with better control and to be able to walk them forward in the most safest manner possible, so there are no shoving, pushing, or potential safety incidents. So Group 1 will be roughly around 14,000 runners in Group 1, and Group 2 will have roughly around 8,000 runners. Okay, so these, I mentioned the various firefighters and the security personnel and marshals that will be forming these human chains. They utilize the use of very thick ropes that stretch across the entire width of the street out of the city hall. They utilize ropes, they utilize danger tape, etc. All these measures are there to assist to keep the runners from pushing or shoving and to just gently walk them forward. We have had dry runs on this and it went very well. We've got our final dry run on Saturday. So as the CMA, we have no doubt that the two start is going to work, and it's going to work very safely as well. Okay, just also because of the increased field, we've also had to increase our various logistics in many ways. One important one being for our runners is the portaloos or portable toilets. So at the start, we've drastically increased our number of portable toilets, the same on the route and the same at the finish. We also do have ladies-only toilets for female runners, and at each of our 8 physio stations and medic stations along the route, we have female sanitary products that female athletes can then go to the physio station and get those products should they require them. And We've also tripled the amount of janitors we're going to have cleaning those portaloos at the start, route and finish to ensure that runners and spectators that are utilizing these ablutions at least have a much better experience in terms of, from a hygiene point of view and also accessibility point of view to them. Right, thanks to our vehicle sponsor Toyota, we will still have our 2 lead cars that will be following the race with the timing clocks on the roof, so that they will be in front of the lead runners, for the lead men and in front of the lead women. Also, I'm sure our members of the media are going to be pleased to hear this announcement that we've reintroduced the media press trucks. So we will have 2 press trucks this year, like we used to have in the past. One will be following the men's race and one the women's race. Okay, then we will also have Netcare 911, our medical sponsor, at the start, along the route, at the various cutoff points, as well as they will have medics at the 8 physio stations along the route, and also we have a very, very large medical facility. The chairperson did allude to it earlier on to mention details around that. We've also increased our security presence at the Comrades Marathon this year, and that's at the start, route and finish. We've drastically increased security, not only because of the larger number of participants, which comes with a larger number of spectators, but also because we want to try and eradicate various types of crime, etc. And once again, also thank you to the Brigadier and all the ESSPC role players for their important involvement in working with us as the organizers to try and eradicate these criminal elements. Thank you also to our board member Rory Stein for his guidance and advice on that. I have no doubt that this year's security aspects are going to be far, far, far superior than previous editions of the Comrades Marathon. So just some updates and stats regarding the route access, route planning, etc., and what's taking place on the route of race day. So we've got 13 sponsor activations on the route. We've got 10 sponsor refreshment stations plus 2 Toyota activations, one off the Camperdown and the Toyota Mile, which is on the finish straight heading towards the finish line. We've got 9 elite refreshment stations. So those are utilized by elite runners, where they will hand in their bottles. It's a very strictly controlled process from a technical point of view, security, etc. And that's for all the elites that have been classified as elite in terms of their seeding, and they will have access to those. The CMA provides the staff. We've got the technical officials at each of these 9 refreshment stations, and they have been strategically positioned to be a good distance between from one table to the next. Then we have 47 official refreshment stations that are manned by various types of companies and organizations along the route, with an extremely wide variety of nutrition and hydration being offered, which I will touch on. I will provide more detail in a minute. We have a few lead bikes provided from our various traffic authorities. We've also got field marshal e-bikes, which are only this year, we've reduced that from 10 in previous years to 6, so that those lead bicycles will be following the 3 top male and 3 top female athletes. I mentioned about the 2 press media trucks. We will have 6 en route race photographers on motorbikes, 2 super sport vehicles doing the media broadcast, and we will also have 10 official technical officials on motorbikes as well en route. So collectively, the 47 refreshment stations will stock the following running refreshments for all our athletes on race day. Our hydration partner and sponsor, Thirsty, are supplying 2.5 million sachets of water, 602,000 Thirsty energy drink sachets. Coca-Cola, also a sponsor, are supplying a variety of products made up of 3,100 cases of Coca-Cola, 532 cases of Fanta, 532 cases of cream soda. We have 4.8 tons of oranges throughout the route, 12 tons of bananas, 2 tons of baby potatoes with salt, 500 kgs of energy biscuits, 500 kgs of salty cracks biscuits, 1,100 kgs of bite-sized chocolates, 45,000 cartons of Asemzansi Amaheu for the runners, 30,000 sachets of 32 GI Sports Energy Gels, 24,000 sachets of 32 GI Recovery Protein Feed, and 24,000 sachets of 32 GI Anti-Cramp Gels. So as you can see, as lots of runners like to call it, the Comrades Marathon is literally a buffet on the route. So to ensure that runners are well fueled throughout the Comrades Marathon, we urge all runners to please advise their seconding teams, their family members, running club mates, and anyone that's generally supporting them along the route to ensure that they get to their seconding spots early, because with the traffic congestion that could potentially take place on N3 due to roadworks, we encourage runners to inform their supporting teams to get to those spots much earlier, plan their travel a lot earlier. And having said that, we've also been encouraging runners to also make their way to the start a lot earlier. Don't factor in how you traditionally would have done for a down run. You need to add a minimum of 2 hours onto that, just to be safe. So we are going to continually be reminding runners between now and Sunday morning to do so. Okay, but again, as I've mentioned, for any of those runners that are not able to meet their supporters, you've heard we've got more than enough refreshments available on the route for runners. We've reintroduced official spectator points along the route. Those 3 official spectator points will be at Cater Ridge, in Chana, and Drummond near the halfway mark. The halfway mark is manned and sponsored by our sponsor Thirsty, who's got a huge activation taking place at that point as well. At these official spectator points, from the CMA side, we've organized portable toilets, private security firms, and parking marshals at each of these to protect the vehicles and for runners, supporters, etc., to feel safe and be able to park their vehicles and cheer on the runners as they proceed past those spectator points. Okay, then the cut-off points. We've got 5 cut-off points this year on the route. We traditionally used to have 6, especially for a down run. We've got 5, first one being at Cater Ridge Underpass at approximately 30.5 k's into the race. Halfway at Drummond, which is approximately 45 kilometers into the race. Winston Park at 58.3 kilometers. Pinetown Underpass, 69.1 kilometers. And 45th Cutting in Sherwood, 81.5 kilometers. We have mentioned in previous communications around the cut-off points. Our Comrades coach, Lindsay Perry, has also been doing webinars and informing runners and advising runners as well. Runners should not use these cut-off points or the cut-off point table to pace themselves. While the cut-off times are very reasonable and they are the most relaxed that they've ever been in previous years, runners cannot use the cut-off table to pace themselves because they will come short and effectively not finish the race within 12 hours. Everyone does have 12 hours to complete the race, whether in Group 1 or Group 2, but if they use the cut-off times to pace themselves, then they will come short because the final cut-off at 45th Cutting is at 5:30 p.m. in the day. And it is virtually impossible to make it in 30 minutes from 45th Cutting, almost 10 kilometers to People's Park. So that is why it's extremely important for runners to ensure that they pace themselves correctly. We still have our bailer buses or rescue buses that they've called in the past that will be assisting runners that come into difficulty or that do not make any of these cut-off points on the route. That will be collected by those bailer buses and brought straight through to the finish, inside the finish at People's Park to our bailer's tent. Also, something important to note, those runners that do make it through the 45th Cutting cut-off point by 5:30 p.m. and are not put onto a bailer bus will be allowed to continue the race. So you'll still have the drama and traditions like we've had in previous years of the Comrades Marathon. They will not receive a medal. However, they will still be allowed to continue, finish the race, and come over the finish line and at least have that special moment that they've trained so hard for. So that we will ensure that that takes place. I touched on security earlier, and as I mentioned, we have dramatically increased our security presence, particularly around the finished precinct. We know it's a very large area and to police, so we've had to utilize the services of 2 private security firms that will be, one concentrating on the finished venue and the second security company focusing on the outer precincts, the side streets, the pavements, the additional parking areas that we've arranged. And those security companies, together with the SAPS and other important security role players, together as one large security team, we will ensure that the security aspects are well taken care of at the finished precinct as well. Okay, then the actual street finish outside People's Park. So the actual finish line is 30 meters before the overhead People's Park Bridge on Masabula Layengwa Avenue. The Toyota mile starts just before the Sandile Tusi off-ramp and ends 300 meters before the actual finish line, and thereafter becomes a sponsored zone heading down to the finish line as well. Because it being a street finish on the actual tar road surface, we are going to have an AstroTurf mat that will be before the finish line and after the finish line, because we know with the Comrades Marathon, especially in the last 2 to 3 hours, we have lots of runners that collapse, crawl, fall, etc. So we introduced that, and that will be laid out on the finish area so that any runners that do happen to fall, crawl, etc. will be able to do it on a soft surface and not on the actual road surface. Then inside People's Park, where all our temporary structures, marquees, etc. are contained, we've got a beer garden sponsored by our sponsor Casa Light. So that beer garden is for the general public and runners once they've completed the race. And there will also be public food vendors within the People's Park venue as well. We've also got a kids play area that's fully manned and secured by a team that will look after the kids, as well as that area will be well looked after from a security point of view as well. And there's lots of exciting activations happening by some of our sponsors inside People's Park, just to keep the public entertained. I've mentioned also that there is viewing areas outside on the sidewalk, as well as the grandstand seating available to all the spectators. We have lots of parking available at the finish, and the parking venues are the following. It's People's Park East, which is directly across from the People's Park venue. That is free spectator and runner parking. All these parking areas, just to mention, are going to be well controlled and policed by private security firms, as well as from the CMA side, traffic management teams and parking marshals to ensure everyone parks safely and parks correctly. The old Durban Drive-In, also free parking. The Hollywood Bets Kings Park rugby fields, the 4 outer fields, also free spectator parking. Suncoast Casino, but that is pay parking that's controlled by Suncoast Casino, by the venue, and also the Centrum Parkade in the Durban City Centre, also free parking. All these various parking areas will have very clear, large directional signage and also volunteer marshals guiding spectators, etc. Something new that we've never done at the Comrades Marathon, another improvement or innovation, is we're going to have a park and ride shuttle service, which is free to all participants and runners, participants and the general public. And that is going, transporting them from Masabula Layengwa to either of these parking venues, such as the Kings Park Rugby Stadium. And that service will be running until the race ends at 1800 hours. Then our race day activities, the live broadcast on Supersport begins at 5 a.m. Our seating pens will close at the start at 5:30 a.m. The Group 1 will start 5:45, Group 2 will start at 6 a.m. Then at the finish, the post-race winners press conference will be taking place at 12:45 inside Moses Mabhida Stadium, press conference room. The victory ceremony, which is our prize-giving ceremony, will take place at 1400 hours inside People's Park next to the cafe where our VIP area is. But it is the prize-giving ceremony is a live broadcast event and also is in the People's Park venue, so it can be viewed by all the spectators, media, general public. And then our Toyota winner card draw is taking place at 4:30 p.m. Then the end of the 12 hours and the Vic Clapper medal cutoff for Group 1 will be at 17:45, 5:45, and the Vic Clapper medal cutoff for Group 2, which signals the end of the race as well, or end of the event, is 1800 hours, 6 p.m. The Group 1 final gun will be fired by our Vice Chairman, Mr. Mark Leathers, and Group 2, as per Comrades traditions, will be fired by our Chairperson, Mr. Konisi Nobo. Thank you all.
I love that the focus this year for runners seems to be safety and food. Two of my favorite things. Any questions from the media? Yes?
Back again, BG Naido, the one who's speaking. Firstly, all the best to the CMA for Sunday's race. A very challenging event. And to all the new board members, welcome to LA very well presented. I don't think people have much questions. You did everything. I just have two questions. One is a very monotonous one because I asked this question for many years. Maybe the chairman will also assist. Yesterday I posed this question to the Queen of Ultra Marathon, Calcutta State. They got the prize money. Surprisingly, she was quite satisfied with the prize money because of the increase in the year. We commented on it some 27 years ago, and it's very hard work, and the cost of training is also. But above all, it's achievement. This is a very well-recognized race internationally. We have international runners, and I think the CMA should, maybe in the near future, maybe next year, as I said, reach the 1 million prize money mark. My instinct tells me very clearly that this will be done at the 100th edition, 2027. If that is so I'll leave my question there, and next year definitely I won't answer. The second question, while I'm on my feet, is the date for the 2026 marathon. It has been finalized, and I don't know if you have the official capacity to announce it here, or give us an indication when will the next year race be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your questions. So regarding the increase in the prize money, just to mention for those that aren't aware, this year for the 2025 Comrades Marathon, we increased the prize money by 10% across all categories of prize money. That includes the age category prize as well for the various age categories. The CMA board's intention is always to look at increasing prize money. However, at this stage, we cannot commit to the amount as mentioned by yourself, sir. But I can say that that is part of our forward thinking, and again, being runner-centric and runner-focused. So those are important aspects for the CMA board and myself as the GM to always look into. Then regarding the second question, the Comrades Marathon traditionally does take place on the second Sunday of June every year. The fixture calendars have not been finalized as yet by the athletics federations, but as soon as that has been published, then we will be able to announce our 2026 race date.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Just a few questions for me. The police are doing a good job marshalling traffic around the road, but there's a problem when people are leaving the finish venue. Can you please look into that so that the congestion is dealt with? Secondly, what happens if the president doesn't finish, the chairman doesn't finish at the right time? Who's going to blow the gun? We heard about stats of genders and stuff. Can you give us information about people living with disabilities that will be running the entire marathon? Last one for me. In your bus drivers, you don't have any bus driver from the Eastern Cape. Is there a reason for that? Thank you.
Okay, so the traffic question. So we realize with the magnitude of the Comrades Marathon, we do have traffic congestion. It's something that's, I don't want to say unavoidable, but with the roadworks, it does not help the situation. I think in the next 2 years or so, hopefully when the roadworks are completed, we should certainly see a dramatic improvement in traffic volumes. However, you know, at a level of our ESSPC safety and security meetings and our involvement from the various traffic authorities, being the RTI, Road Traffic Inspectorate, Msunduzi Traffic Police and Durban Metro Police, as well as support also and involvement by the SAPS, I have no doubt that there will be significant improvements this year in terms of traffic congestion. But as I said, it's something that is unavoidable just because of the large number of participants and their spectators and family members, etc., that will be coming to the event. But that's why it's also important for us to be able to open the roads as soon as possible once the runners have passed through certain areas to help alleviate traffic congestion as well. Then regarding the pace setters aspect, there is lots of thinking and planning that went into that. But as far as geographical selections, that wasn't the criteria. It's more about the abilities, etc.
Thank you. Okay, I don't want to jinx it. But we have an acting chairperson on the day, Mrs. Brenda. But I can promise you I'll cross the line on time.
Yes. Just the General Manager, Oxford. Morning. It's not a tongue-in-cheek question, but can you commit to there being enough medals? You said everyone will get the right medals, but are there enough?
Yes, I can confirm that there are enough medals across all different categories. Yes, actually more than enough.
In the front.
Good day. I'm Dries from SABC Radio News. The weather forecast seemed to be sunny but cool, 22 maximum in Maritzburg, a little bit higher in Durban. Your thoughts on what role the weather might play during the race?
Thank you. So the South African Weather Service do participate in our various meetings, safety and security planning meetings, and they are keeping track of the weather patterns, as well as our medical portfolio that's headed up by Dr. Bolter, who's on our Comrades Race Organizing Committee, as well as Netcare 911. So it's been closely monitored by various people and organizations and authorities. And at this stage, as per the forecast, it will be a cool day for runners, and we don't anticipate any serious challenges as far as humidity is concerned. There is a very small possibility of rain, but that's after the event, currently showing after 8 p.m. on Sunday evening.
Thank you. Yes.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for the beautiful presentation. Question from my side: when you were mentioning the issue of how the start is going to be, is it going to be on the same street, or because I had the issue, I had the 25-meter dead zone, so is it going to be on the same street, whereby runners, the batch A will move, then the second batch, when it comes, it will be brought forward to the original start? That's the question from my side, and yeah, all the best for the race on Sunday?
Thank you very much. So, yes, the race will be on one street, being Chief Albert Lutuli Street. So it's directly outside the Pietermaritzburg City Hall. From the start line to the very last runner being at the back of S-Batch will be at Hussein Haffajee Street. That's where the last runner will be, but all on one street.
Anyone else? Any questions? I have one from the runners. Okay. So there's two starts. All the ones at the back, the slow ones, and the second batch. Will we also get the anthem and the Shosholoza and the Chariots of Fire and the Conqueror? We'll also get that stuff.
It's actually a very good question. I've had this question from many runners, so thanks, Rolly. So, Group 1, well, for everyone, we will have the full set of traditions, which effectively run for just under 8 minutes for that entire sequence. And once Group 1 has started, the gun goes off at 5:45 a.m. and Group 1 moves forward. When Group 2 are proceeding towards the start line, we are going to have Chariots of Fire again and the Maxtra Board's Cockerel. So it will be a shortened version. The other introduction that we've done at the start as well is that we're going to have the speaker towers all the way until the back of S-Batch. Whereas in previous years, the speakers wouldn't go all the way right to the back, so that the runners right at the back of the field in S-Batch will still feel fully integrated and part of those traditions.
Nice. Because I remember I was always in GOH batch and we didn't know what was happening. We used to check our phone. Have we started yet? You just hear in distance. Just hear. Thank you. I will hear it everywhere at the back. That makes a big difference for the runners. Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else? I think your presentation was so detailed, and I was surprised there were actually any questions today because you covered literally everything. Like that, I really
Can I
enjoyed
just
it.
add to the weather question? We are expecting that records will be broken because the weather will be perfect. We are waiting for a spectacular finish from both our female and our male runners.
Anyone else? Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for the 98th Comrades Marathon Media Briefing. Mr. Chairperson, Elaine, thank you so much for everything. Really looking forward to the race on Sunday as a runner. I feel confident that I'll be safe and very well fed. Thank you.
We've got someone from IWAF who is the secretary. Madam, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm actually Hilary Walker, and I'm from the International Association of Ultra Runners. And we're working with Comrades in order to think through a very good way of augmenting the 2027 race when you're celebrating your 100th event.
It's an honor to have you here in South Africa. How long have you been how long have you been taking care of these Comrades?
I've known Comrades personally since 1994 when I've ran my first Comrades. I've run 4 since. And it is a great pleasure to be back here in order to discuss how we can work together, IAU, with Comrades for future events.
But then what was your impression of the presentation that was given by the race director, Ellen Delays?
I thought he gave a very good presentation because you have now got many more runners. You've got 22,000 runners, and I see that safety and, as he said, food are key important factors in this year's event. Looking forward to it.
But then contrast this to when you ran Comrades for 4 years, or in your 4 years of running Comrades. What are some of the takeaways, some of the good innovations that you think they have implemented?
Well, I think one of the things is the increase in numbers of people. But I'm sure, and I can't say yet until I see the Comrades, I'm sure they've improved on a great number of other aspects, like the refreshment stations and things.
But then, what does this mean to your organization, the success of Comrades Marathon as a race?
Okay, what it means, this is one of the biggest races, ultra-distance races in the world. We would like to see more competition working with us, where we can bring our federations to send teams to Comrades as membership of our organisation, because the IAU is made up from the member federations, and we can suggest that they send teams from their countries to the race.
But then we might potentially see 34,000 filled in 2027 just to mark the there is a possibility. And how would you feel when you see such?
Well, I wouldn't suggest to increase it to that numbers. What I would like to see is a greater international representation, rather than that particular increase in numbers, but getting more people from more countries to come to Comrades. That is my aim.
And then this is between you and I. When you go outside to other countries, would you be our ambassador then for the Comrades ambassador? I'm biased towards Rani and Comrades.
I'm hoping that the IAU will work with Comrades in order to bring more people or more international people to the 227 race.
I'm looking for, I'm hoping to see you after the race just to get your inputs. Just to get your inputs and what you've made out of this run.
I would love to talk to you after the race, because then I will have seen how it all went.
All the best and enjoy your stay in South Africa again.
Thank you.